diys-by-dar. This is a challenge hosted by Cory from Desert DIY or Cory's Historia. This is a $20 Goodwill thrifted fall decor challenge. And I have some Chromax made in USA trays. They are very heavy duty and they are really nice trays. They are vintage, but you can see the condition is very poor. So I'm going to go ahead and spray these with some Rust-Oleum paint and primer in the color Farmhouse White. And here is the paint. It is matte. And I had a request for some rock trays, so that is what I am going to make here. I'm just using a number 2 pencil and drawing my parameters in the bottom of this tray, and I'm starting to draw my rocks. So big rocks, small rocks, round rocks, oval rocks, any size that you would like to make in there. And this is just a number 2 pencil. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of my rocks drawn in, and here is the larger tray, which I have also drawn all the rocks in. So I am ready to go ahead and base these in with some acrylic paint, and this is just Master's Touch acrylic paint, and I have black, brown, gray, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and you don't need to completely fill them in. Just get a base color down, because sometimes even that texture in them areas you miss when you're painting them in adds to the character of your stones. So take your time, get them all based in, and then we are going to be ready for the next phase of these rocks. So here are both the trays. The rocks are all based in. So I am ready to start adding my low lights. Low lights, usually I will do in black or brown. It's a dark color. You just go around the outside edge. And this paint is very watered down. It can even be translucent looking. And just go around the outside of each individual rock. Now, once you get your low lights in, it's time for highlights, and I am going to use white for this. So now in the center of your rock, you're just going to take your white and water it down, put the paint on, water it down, swirl it around, tap it, whatever you need to do just to get some white on the top of that rock, because we are starting to build the depth on each individual stone. Like that one probably had a little bit too much white, so I just got another brush that had water on it and swirled it around. And then I even had enough paint on that brush to hit the top of another stone. So you can see on the left I have my low lights and my highlights are on, and on the right I just have the low lights in there. And you can see the depth starting to build its character with each individual stone. There, the tray is completely done. Low lights, highlights. Now I need to go ahead and get the smaller tray completed. Both the trays are completed, so now it is time to add some detail. And I'm going to do these trays a little bit different. The small tray I'm just going to do by hand, creating small little dots with the paintbrush or a Posca pen in tan, white, black, brown, burnt umber, whatever colors that you would like to use. Go ahead and use them, your choice. And I'm just going to go ahead and make all these little dots on top of these rocks. Now, a little more detail. I'm going to go back with a different color and make some small swirls, lines, anything that can add some more character to each individual rock. Start on one side and work your way all the way to the other side. Now that I have the detail completed, the very last step to bringing these rocks to life, and you can see when you look up close, it's really nothing but a bunch of dots and swirls and lines. We are going to add the dirt or ground underneath these rocks. So I have a Posca pen and I'm just going in between every rock, or you can also just use a paintbrush, which sometimes I prefer anyway because it holds more paint than your Posca pen, and I can actually go a little bit quicker with the brush. And my acrylic paint in black going in between all of the rocks. Now I'm outside and I have my paint, water mister, a little cup, my tray, which I have taped off because I am going to spray little dots in different colors all over the tops of these rocks. And you can see the brown, the black, the white. And here is the tray. We have all of our little dots on there. And at this point, it is going to be time. You can see over on the left, I have added a little more detail to each rock. But on the right, they're looking a little flat, so I need to add some more detail to each one of those rocks. And it really is very easy to do this. You're going to go ahead and take your brush and just add little swirls, carry it up into the stone, kind of blur that edge from the white to the dark. And I have some watered down black on there, and I'm just going to go ahead and brush that back into the stone, trying to soften that line a bit from where that white and that dark meets to make it look a little bit more round. Okay, this is all detailed in, and the very last thing I need to do is add my black background in. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is either a size 0 or 00 brush that I am going to use with my black acrylic paint, and I am just going to go in between all of the rocks and get that black ground or dirt that is underneath all these rocks. This is actually very relaxing when you do something like this. You can think about a lot of things. All right, on the right, my black background is in, and you can see what a difference that makes. It really brings those rocks to life, and they just pop right up off of that tray. Both of my trays are completed. So now what I want to do is spray this with some sealer. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the back first. And what I have is some Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover Matte Clear. I'm going to get the back with 3 coats. And I am going to get the front on the edges with 3 coats and just a very light coat on the rocks themselves, because I am going to put this resin 2-part 1-to-1 ratio epoxy resin on these trays. Make sure your trays are level before you even start. This particular brand is called Janchun, and you have to mix it for 3 minutes and go in the same direction. Don't mix really fast, go slow, and just continually stir, and it will actually almost look like water. And go ahead and pour your resin in, and I'm going to get that small tray as well. And I've never tried it on a rock tray before or anything with rocks, so this is my first time giving this a try. So this is kind of an experiment with this, so we will see how this goes. And over on this side, I just want to make sure that everything is covered, so I'm going to take my little spatula stick and go around the edges and just make sure there's no surface tension that is preventing it from going all the way to the edge. And just smooth that down, and then we'll see how these turn out in 24 hours. Should be good to go, should be fully cured. Well, it looks good, or maybe not. See that ugly line all the way across the front? Well, it did it on the larger one as well. So I'm thinking that my spray lifted, so I had to sand it. I had to buff it. I was wet sanding all the way up to some microgram paper, and then I used this ZAM, which is for buffing stones, even turquoise, so it's pretty soft. And it looks okay here, except for now it's dull. And I thought, well, now what am I going to do with this? So I had some triple thick spray glaze, and I am going to try this and spray this on the tray and see if I can bring that shine back up. So here I am going to fill this up with some of that spray. It looks good there, but when you're looking at it in person, it was hazy on the top. So we'll see how this works out. Now, I purchased some frames from Goodwill, and their frames for an 8x10 are usually $1.99. And so I paid $6 for these 3 frames. And when you get your frames, just take them apart and see what you have to work with, because I always try to reuse any part of that frame that I can, whether it's the mat, whether it is cardboard backing. Sometimes they have staples holding everything in. Sometimes they have points. I do have a point setter. It is a HM515. It was $43 from Amazon. It works really great, almost like a stapler. I'll leave the link in my description. So when you start taking it all apart, observe what you have. I'll be able to reuse that cardboard. If I flip it over, it's okay. And then when I get the actual picture out itself, the mat was in good shape, so I can reuse that mat, whether I keep it that same color or I paint it. And that little piece of cardboard there, I probably will glue one of my prints back down on, since it's already sized for that mat. This one here was in pretty good shape. There was some problems with the mat. Somebody had written some things on it, so I was going to have to paint this one. And the backing was okay. I can reuse that cardboard back. The glass was okay, just needs a good cleaning. And when you put your pictures back together, always make sure that glass is clean. Now here are my prints. These are from Temu, a cottage core collection where I purchased 3 in a set for $2.97. They are 8x10 printed canvases. So these are the 3 I'm going to use. I love this little frog. I've had him 2 times before in my booth, and he sells out pretty quick. And then the last one is a moth. Take care of your frames, check them all over, sand them if you need to. I have a repair there. The whole corner is missing, so I will have to put some wood putty in there and sand it back down. Make sure your corners are tight. If they are not, glue them and clamp them. I did spray these with some primer, some Bullseye 123, just to get it done quickly. And I'm going to use this Type Bond. It's almost gone, so I'm going to cut the jar open so I can get it at the glue. And I am going to put some of this glue on the back of my canvas as well as on my cardboard piece. And I am going to get it lined up. And I am going to apply my canvas to this piece of paper. And when you get it on there, just slowly, top to bottom, rub it, press it down. If you want to use a roller, that's fine. Just be really careful so you do not damage your print, because it can happen if you press really hard. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of my prints on my paper. So I am ready to go with the next process, which is using this TCW matte gel medium, and I am going to put this all over on each one of the prints. It is going to dry clear. It is going to give me that texture that will make this look like an actual painting, that somebody sat down and they painted this. And to get all 3 of these canvases completed, it took me about 15 minutes. So I went ahead and worked on the mats while I was waiting for them to dry. I painted some, either with spray paint, or I used some Annie Sloan colors. And one of them I did need to cut a new mat for. And I have this little portable mat cutter called a Logan, and I'll leave that in the description also. And it's a pretty nice little piece. It's very easy to use, and hopefully when you use it right, you'll have your pieces come out like this. And here is my complete set. I paid $3 a piece for the trays. The paintings were $6 altogether, and that cool little metal pear, that was my most expensive item, which was $5, and it has a candle in the middle, a battery operated candle. want to thank Cory from Desert DIY and her sister store, Cory's Historia, which you can find her on Instagram. And she has a Etsy store as well as a booth in Texas. So I spent $20. That was the max I spent for the items that I made. And it was definitely a lot of fall fun for me. Thanks, Cory. Catch you guys on the next one.